Hello YouTube! This is Cypher Snake 89. Returned from the hiatus and heavy work to bring you something new and old and a little something in between. A retrospective on Beyblade. This nifty little toy series, which started as an anime, and of course developed into a toy line alongside it, was all about the evolution of the ancient game of spinning tops, but in this anime version they amped it up so the tops actually attacked each other and bore the animal spirits of certain creatures, which, if the blader's spirit was in sync, they could call out at will to form more powerful attacks. There was toys, there was collectible and battle tops, there was figures, there was even a few video games as the series progressed. So I'm here today, and they recently got a reboot, as recently as last year or beyond. So I'm here to talk about Beyblade. The beginning, the upgrade, and the reboot. Now over here, featured here is a Beyblade Battle Stadium. This one is from the Metal Masters series. It's designed as a shallow bowl with rivets and indentations to help guide Beyblades into each other. Earlier base stadiums and the ones in the reboot have large gaps on the sides, which, if Beyblades were to fly out, their player would lose a point and a half. I'll get to the scoring in a moment. Okay, so over here we have the pieces for a classic series Beyblade, Dronzer V. We've got a base tip, which comes in... Come on, focus. Focus. Oh, my phone does not want to focus. Oh. Pointed tip. There it goes. Pointed tip and flat tip. We have a spin gear core, which is of the right rotation variety, and it has a magna gear core. We'll get to the specifics of that in a second. So yeah, it's a magnet. The Beyblade base. Now I put the stickers on this Dronzer V earlier to save time, because I wanted to construct it in front of you so that you could see the difference. Base goes on here and is secured with these two little clips. Yeah, you heard that click. Yeah, these clips is what kept the spin gear inside the base. So I'm gonna attach the end of it. In the old series, every Beyblade was different, because the bases were different, the construction was different. I'm gonna go with a spin. That's the pointed edge down. Then, for balance and overall weight, they had a metal ring called the weight disc. These came in 3 varieties of heavy, wide, and balance. This one's a heavy. Then, goes back to the plastic. They have an attack ring. 4 basic sides. More advanced Beyblades had more sides. And it screws on like this, and when you slide it sideways, it clicks into place. Then the animal spirit in the bit chip. most, if not all, of the classic series Beyblades came with the primary and a backup, which was of a different bit beast. So if you wanted to change it up, you could. This particular one, let me turn it around, is Dronzer V. A right spin attack tape. Dronzer was analogous to the Phoenix in Japanese lore, which is Suzaku, one of the 4 Mount Guardians. And this theme was extended in the anime, but when it was used by a blader called Kai, who, along with Tyson and his Dragoon, Max and his Dracil, and Ray and his Drigger, which is the tiger, a turtle and tiger respectively, they've had the whole 4 Guardians legend and going for them. As well as the launcher. These came in the package as well. Most of them came with a standard short cord, but some of them, like Tyson's Dragoons, came with an extra long Beyblade ripcord called the Dragon Ripcord. So now you've seen me put it together, let's test it out. Now, in the classic game of Beyblade, their scoring was a little differentiated. If both Beyblades were launched into the stadium and one of them went out without touching the other one, the one that remained in got 1/4 of a point. If the Beyblade stopped spinning, which Dronzer is about to do, because look, you can see the stickers spinning slower and slower as the rotation goes down. If the Beyblade stopped, the winner would get 1/2 a point. Yes, like that. Thank you, Dronzer. And if the Beyblade went out of the stadium after a few hits with an opponent's Beyblade, the winner got 1 point. The first player to 2 points total or more won. But, as you saw, these things are constructed piece by piece. If the attack ring came off, or was damaged and sheared in 2, or say the clips failed, and the weight disc and core were separated from the base, or basically if the whole Beyblade fell apart, you lost. You could not continue if your Beyblade broke. This was all fine and dandy, except for the times when Beyblades would shatter or fall to pieces, and wild flying parts would fly up and hit the players or the referee or other bystanders. Man, I cannot talk English today. So they remade the game in Metal Masters. New protagonist, new Beyblades, new challenges. These also were constructed, but they were constructed using the special circular key to screw in the bit chip, which is turned into a beast bolt. The bolt runs through the entire length of the Beyblade, combining which the attack ring and the weight disc are now one, and the base was separated from the spin gear core, the spin gear tip, which had to be attached on by the other end of the circular key I mentioned a minute ago. The base stadiums were modified to types like this, so even when they span round and round and round, there would be no danger of Beyblades flying out and hurting people. That's pretty good. So the scoring was modified. If your Beyblade stops, it's 1 point. If it goes out, it's 1 point. And first one to 2 points, or best of 3, wins. Then in the reboot, they called it Beyblade Burst. And the Beyblades were redesigned in order to make them fly apart. Why would you remake something just to make it flimsy? This I do not understand. But here, to demonstrate, I have the Beyblade Burst unit called Wolborg 8. Wolborg was originally introduced in the classic Beyblade series, where dronzer was from, but it was reborn in the Burst series. Now, Burst Beyblades, they had only 3 parts. You notice how many parts dronzer had? Let's count them up. The attack ring, the bit chip, the weight disc, the core, which actually constructed of 3 pieces, so I'm at 6, 2 clips, a base, and a tip. That's 10 pieces. The Metal Masters, by comparison, 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. But they still weren't satisfied, so they made things even simpler, and they lowered it to 3 pieces with the weight, the core and the bit, the spin tip were together. The weight disc was smaller and heavier, and the attack ring and the bit chip are fused together. I didn't put it together. It arrived like this. Not really that great. So here's Wolborg all put together. Size difference to the original? The originals are slightly bigger by a shade. But as they're both have the ability to fall apart, let's put them in battle and see what happens. 3, 2, 1, let it rip! The two are struggling. Burst! Wolborg loses. So that was the result. Dronzer managed to make Wolborg burst. Now, it would be unfair to put a Beyblade made of plastic against a Beyblade made of metal. Because, that would not be a fair competition, so... Beyblade Burst. Is it worth it? Sort of. I mean, if you want a cheap, comprehensive, and not comprehensive. If you want a cheap substitute for nostalgia, I suppose it will do. But for die-hard collector fans, the original Beyblade, hard to find, but so darn worth it. So keep gaming on. This is Cypher Snake 89 signing off.